We have a question from Dallas Price. He wants to know where I sell my stock art because he's been selling vectors on microstock sites for a while with very poor returns. This kind of goes to that same philosophy with the social media. Like, there's probably 1,000 stock sites out there. It's worth it to try some of the bigger ones and evaluate whether or not they're going to work for you, because like the majority of them are probably only going to make you a few bucks every month or every year or something, and you're never going to get anything out of it. And then others, you're going to make, you know, pretty regular money depending on how much time you put into it. For one, you have to have a pretty large portfolio, so you know you're increasing your odds of people finding your pieces. 2, you have to keyword very well so that people can find the pieces. And 3, you have to make things that are a little more commercial. If a lot of the stuff I have is like kind of surrealism, abstract stuff, that's a hard thing to keyword, and it's not something that people are going to search for. So the way I've kind of built up my portfolio is I made art for the stock sites. You know, I'd paint an apple or a hot pizza or kids playing frisbee, you know, things that people are going to search for. And a lot of these websites have top keywords that'll kind of give you ideas of what people search for. But really you can get inspiration from like the news, you know. When there was the volcano in Iceland, I did a painting of the volcano erupting, and that was a popular download. So sometimes being topical helps. Shutterstock would be my first recommendation. Second would be Dreamstime. Big Stock Photo's good. Fotolia. And then what's the other one? iStockPhoto, which is now owned by Getty Images. Out of those 5, I make pretty decent money here and there. Like, I'm not living off of it by any means, but it's free money because it's just all art that I've made anyways, and all I had to do was upload it. One more, deposit photos. Now, I don't do it as much as I did before because they got into this kind of method of like being really scrutinizing on artwork, and like every time I'd upload a piece, they'd reject it and they'd say, well, you don't have a model release for this piece. So it's like, I don't want to make a model release for 100 pieces if I'm doing a batch. And it's especially annoying if I upload those 100 pieces, keyword, click on the drop-down menus for each of them and categorize them, and then they get rejected, and then I have to do that same step over again for each 100 pieces. That is so irritating. So I kind of don't really upload as much as I should to like Shutterstock and Dreamstime, even though I have probably several hundred pieces I could upload that would generate money. However, Deposit Photos actually emailed me and said, hey, you have a couple dozen photos that you haven't finished or added keywords to. We'll keyword them for you and take care of everything. All you have to do is just upload stuff from now on, and we'll keyword it and describe it. So if I end up getting back into it, that's probably where I'm going to go first, is Deposit Photos, because they're being more respectful of my time as an artist. And, you know, versus like Shutterstock was kind of like, well, you have to have a model release for each piece. So eventually what I did is I made one model release, but I put 100 thumbnails on it. And then that way I was just submitting one model release rather than having to make an individual PDF for each piece, which would have been ridiculous. So
how did you get into doing that? I'd never even thought of selling stock imagery. I don't think I'd paint the type of stuff that would work for stock imagery anyway, but that's kind of interesting to hear you can make a little bit of money doing that.
It was before I started doing digital art. I was doing photography, and I had, you know, thought it would be kind of fun to take some artsy shots of things. I took like a picture of, I think it was like an old wood pallet kind of going across this creek, like just not even like a cool shot of anything really, but I put some cool Photoshop filters on it, and it was kind of composed in an interesting way. And I uploaded a few things, and I think I've kind of forgot about it for a few months, and I came back and I had like $8 or $16 or something, some small amount of money, but I was like, whoa, like I just made free money. So then after that, I just started to get more into it, and for a few years, that's, you know, something that I put a lot of effort into, was either uploading stuff that I had or creating stuff specifically that would be good stock imagery. Like one of my top selling ones is the planets in order, you know, just the digital painting of the planets with labels and things like that. So you kind of just have to.
I used to use them a lot, and I used to upload things quite a lot. But I haven't touched them in years, and I think it's because all of them, I used to use Dreamstime, iStock. iStock was my main one, and there was another one. It was one of the ones you mentioned, I can't remember which one. It just goes to show how long ago it was. It was probably about 10 years ago now. And they were all absolutely great. But then progressively over the years, they've all got worse and worse and worse as to you need to do this, you need to do that. And you can't have your money. You can't just have your money whenever you want. You've got to have so much money built up. You used to be able to just have your money whenever you wanted and however you wanted. You know, they'd pay you by PayPal or bank or by whatever, and it was all really easy. But then what's happened is, like, you know, every 6 months or every year, they'd introduce a couple more rules and a couple more rules and a couple more rules, and it just got to the point with all the stock image libraries where it was just like, it's far too much hard work now. It's not too bad for photographers, but for illustrators and artists, you're just going, no, because they want so much off of you, and they want you to do so much of the back end work.
Mm-hmm.
It's just not worth it, and then they won't give you the money until you have, you know, a few $100 with them.
Yeah. The payouts are usually $100, and when you're getting, I think Shutterstock starts you out at like 25 cents per download for the smallest license. So there's like licensing tiers. There's like, you know, maybe you get to use it 1,000 times for X amount of money that you pay. You know, it might be a couple bucks to download that image, and then the artist gets a percentage of that. It might be 25 cents. However, if they do the bigger package, like let's say they get to print it 100,000 times and they can use it, you know, royalty free for the rest of their life, then you might get $20 per download. But it's usually on the smaller end. It's usually 25 cents. Some of them give you pay raises depending on your volume of sales. So you might go up to like 30 cents or 35 cents or so on. But when you're starting out, even if you have a ton of images, if you're only making 25 cents per download and you're only getting a few downloads per day, it's going to take you half a year to get $100 to get paid out. So I have to go through every few months on some of these websites where I don't sell as much and just look to see what I have and go, oh, cool, I've got $35, but I'm not going to see that $35 for another year, you know?
Never mind.
It's a savings account because it's still money, and then it's also exposure, you know? Like a lot of these stock websites, they're generally one of the top search results in image search. So that could be a bad thing if you're worried about getting your stuff pirated, but they put watermarks over everything, and they have good copyright enforcement. You can report anything that, you know, is on one of their websites, and they'll work on your behalf to take it down if it's been used illegally.
How many times have we all looked for a reference image on Google Images and had iStockPhotos and, you know, other images come up?
Constantly.
Dreamstime looks well.